It is 5:33. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
And could you take the roll call for us, Mark?
You bet. Jeff Cambrai,
Present.
Terrell Gamble,
Present.
Marcus Crawley,
Present.
Andrea Dawson,
Present.
Benjamin Scott,
Present.
Jill Broadhurst. Not here yet. And Cole Sexton.
Nope,
And Cole's not here yet. Okay.
not yet.
Present.
Okay, so then can we qualify Benjamin for remote participation tonight? Under whatever that category is that we're going to be using?
So, was his location agendized, ahead of time, and is it open to the public?
It was not.
Okay,
He let us know that he was traveling, but we didn't get the agenda updated with any kind of travel address.
okay, and is he, traveling on official business of the public agency? By any chance?
No.
Then I don't think that there's, I mean, do you fit any of the, emergency or just cause exceptions that we've discussed?
Emergency work travel.
Emergency work travel isn't an emergency according to the Brown Act, so unless we can squeeze into one of those exceptions, I don't think that, remote participation is important.
What are those exceptions? Do you have them off the top of your head?
So you gotta be taking care of, an immediate family member, have an illness that is contagious, a personal, medical emergency or a medical emergency of, an immediate family member. But it doesn't sound like any of those are the case.
I've got a question about that.
Wait till we say them. So I just want to clarify that would Benjamin still be able to attend the meeting and just not participate in any voting?
Yeah.
But would be able to,
Yeah, he can attend as a member of the public.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, just want to make sure we have that clarification.
So are those emergency categories? Are those suggested categories? Are those listed as the only categories?
Those are the only categories. Or the exceptions listed in the Brown Act are the only ones that work. So, like we said, caregiving for an immediate family member suffering from a contagious illness, necessary absence due to physical or mental disability, traveling for official public agency business, family or medical emergency. Those are sort of the buckets that you have to squeeze.
What introductory statement does the Brown Act have that would specify that only these categories qualify?
So the general legal principle is called, if you name some things, you intend to exclude others. That's a principle of statutory interpretation that applies. So if you say, you can come to the office on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it means by implication that you can't come to the office on Tuesday.
So you're saying then that the Brown Act provisions does not have any introductory statement saying that it is only these requirements that allow remote attendance for emergency.
It says that if you're going to attend remotely, you have to fit into one of the buckets that they've created. So either you satisfy the old bucket, which was you agendize your location, it's open to the public, you have your agenda posted there, and members of the public will participate in the meetings in that location, or you either are attending remotely due to just cause or emergency. And those are the only ways that the Brown Act provides for a person to attend a meeting remotely.
Okay, can Ben claim a just cause?
Well, he said he's traveling for work, and unless it's work that is related to the official business of a public agency, that doesn't satisfy just cause pursuant to the Brown Act.
Oh, so on just cause, does it state that only traveling on official business for an agency qualifies?
Yeah.
Only? I thought that occasionally we have, back when we had Youssef and others, we had just cause exemptions for remote attendance.
So you remember that there was a third bucket of remote attendance that was instituted in response to the pandemic, but which expired at the end of last year. And so those were looser rules, but those no longer apply. And so if you are going to attend remotely, it's either by agendizing your location and following all of those rules, or it's that you satisfy the just cause exception or the emergency exception to what is otherwise required in-person participation.
I see. When does this Brown Act provision expire?
2026 in theory.
Like January the 1st, 2026, or?
I think so, yeah. That's
Oh,
usually
okay.
when statutes.
All right. I hope I'm not boring you, the committee members. I'm just trying to understand the width and breadth of what we are bound by.
So can I add a question then to that? So if you are not going to be physically in attendance, but you're providing your address to Mark in an appropriate manner, that's okay to attend sympathizing?
Yeah, as long as there's a quorum present within the boundaries of the district, you can attend remotely from wherever you want. As long as you notice the address and make that address open to the public, post the agenda there, and then members of the public can participate in the meeting from your location.
Actually, just to intervene in this discussion, I met with John a couple of times saying we're doing a cheat sheet. So you can actually check the box in which way you would like to attend remotely. So it'll be a lot less cumbersome and we'll know in advance. So at this point, just to get a clarification, it's your view that Benjamin is able to participate by Zoom as a member of the public, but would not be able to vote.
Correct.
Okay. Could we note that in the minutes then, please? Okay,
Also, for the record, Paul Sexton and Jill Broadhurst are here. Are present.
great. Okay, moving on to approval of the meeting agenda. Everybody's reviewed it. Motion to accept the agenda,
A motion to accept the agenda.
second? Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Item number 3, we're into public comment on agenda items.
Have a good meeting, everybody.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, approval of the minutes from July 10th, 2024.
I move to amend the minutes. Looking at the minutes, when I did look at the minutes. Let's see, do we have the minutes in this pack here?
Yes, sir. It should be right after the agenda.
Okay. The agenda item that says that probably motion to reject Palmer's letter and Dawson seconded. I think that needs to be amended to indicate that Mr. Palmer announced that his cease and desist letter was merely a suggestion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the item number 6 with the, Marcus, could you give the wording again, just to make sure that we get it correctly, please?
Have, Mr. Palmer announced it was a suggestion.
That his cease and desist letter was only a suggestion.
Was the phrase cease and desist?
Okay, Mr. Palmer's cease and desist letter was only a suggestion.
Got it? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? One abstention. Oh, two. Sorry, I didn't.
Sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so noted. Item number 5, we have an introduction tonight.
Oh, wait. The minutes, you were just approving the whole 7 minutes with that motion
With
right
that-
there?
With that amendment.
Okay, well, I had another.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So, on item 2,
Hang on, go ahead, just make sure, so we passed the motion to add that phrasing to the minutes, and now we're going on, okay?
so going back to item 2. The vote on moving the agenda on the, yes votes include Canberra, Dawson, Scott, and Gamble. I don't think that was it. I think it was Canberra, Dawson, Sexton, and Gamble, and the no votes included Crowley, Scott, and Broadhurst.
You're right, because Scott is listed twice. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Noted.
Yes.
Are there any other changes to the agenda? And I think I just need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
The minute says it.
I'm sorry, the minutes. Do we have a first? First. Oh, okay. We have a first and a second. All those in favor of the amended minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Now we can get on to item number 5. Great, so we now have a new deputy chancellor, Greg Delson. Would you like to come and join us here in the gallery?
I've got a question. You said we have a new deputy chancellor. I thought this Citizens Bond Oversight Committee is independent. How do we have a new chancellor? Now, maybe Peralta has a new deputy chancellor, but we don't.
So corrected. Okay, great.
Good evening. Hope you're doing well. So as you mentioned, my name is Greg Nelson. I'm the new Deputy Chancellor COO here for the district. And so I'm happy to answer any questions or answer anything about me. I know Mark's done a great job of plastering my face everywhere and doing highlights and so forth. So I'm not sure what you have and have not read, but I'm more than happy to answer questions for you. I am very used to having BMOCs or CBOC type environments at the districts I've worked at. But I spent 11 years in Marin and spent 2 years in San Jose Evergreen. And prior to that, I was in Georgia for 15 years. So I'm not new to higher education. I'm in my 25th year. So, but happy to answer any questions about me or what I do here and so forth, because it is a different, the role at the district now is a little different than it was in the past. So happy to answer that as well.
Andrea.
Okay, I'm Andrea Dawson. So could you explain the structure a little bit there? Because I know that we have other staff here, I believe.
Yeah, they all work for me now. So yeah, so the district underwent a reorganization So they took the vice chancellor of finance, the vice chancellor of DGS, or essentially operations, and the deputy chancellor role and rolled them into one position, which is not uncommon. Most districts have the vice president or the vice chancellor role or operational and finance combined, but they do work harmoniously together. So when the chancellor posted that position, I was in Marin, I was ready for a new challenge. So it's been, like I said, 11 years in Marin, and it's, you know, it was time. So on to better things.
I've got
Oh, I like challenge. I've chased my whole career.
Marcus,
I've got a question. Previously, there was a lady here that her title was vice chancellor.
Mhm.
What was her name?
Are you talking about Etheria Smith?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right, Etheria Smith. So are you replacing her in addition to other
So
things?
I'm basically, if you think about the past administration, I'm replacing Dr. Jones, Nate Jones, Etheria Smith, and Stephanie Droker. So I'm replacing all three of them into one position.
I see. So are you going to be attending our meeting?
I will.
Okay. Is
And
somebody
that
else?
way I can let some of my staff see their families.
anybody else that would like to? Okay, you
Well, I
can-
think you clarified it because you have two other staff here and maybe, I think we heard what their roles are before, but.
Yeah, so BC Hoff is our interim director of facilities and operations. Amy Marshall is our associate director of public safety. Vis-a-vis also helping us with public, projects, you mean, with bond. And then next to her is, Shanoa Berry, who works for me as executive assistant.
Thank you.
Great, any other questions for?
Yeah, I've got another question. How do you see your role as supporting the independent oversight committee? As it was stated by the legislature.
So my job is to give you information, or to answer questions for you based on what you have questions about, or questions you get from the community. That's my job. So help you with your annual reports by giving you data, help you with your fiscal reports, because I do the audit for the district. So I help the auditors get them to you so they can do performance audits and financial audits for the bond. That way y'all can review those as well, which we're wrapping that up now. So actually we'll be finishing up the internal part of that audit this week. But that's my job, is to get you the information you need so you can make your decisions accordingly.
Okay, I've got another question. Last year in November, we had a situation where it appeared that there might not be a quorum. And the vice chancellor instructed Mark Johnson to cancel the meeting. Do you anticipate that you will have the authority to tell Mark Johnson to cancel the meeting? Or will the chairperson be advised that we have a quorum problem and he can do his due diligence to make the meeting quorum happen?
According to Robert's Rules of Order, the chair has that you have elected a chair. The chair has it discretionary. Not all we do is staff it and provide you information.
Okay,
So the chair dictates, we can work with the chair. The chair can determine if he has a quorum. Chair can work with officers or the board to figure out if they want to have a meeting or not. So he can certainly have a meeting without a quorum. It'd be an informational only kind of meeting. There will be no actions being able to take per Robert's Rules of Order. But beyond that, that's discretionary of the chair.
so you don't anticipate giving Mark Johnson orders to cancel the meeting?
No, I got better things to do.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, once again, I'm sorry. I can't see, so. Yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, go ahead.
Pleasure to have you. This is my second meeting. This is your first. So far, you're a professional.
I appreciate that. So just kind of, if you don't mind, I'll just give you a couple of quick tidbits. So we just did the budget last night for the first read. So if you have a chance to go back and watch that video. So the video is, I think, is up now. I think it's on YouTube, I believe, for last night's board meeting. So there's a board presentation about the adopted budget, which obviously feeds BMOC when it comes to the bond. We do allocate dollars in the budget for the bond, right? So if that's something you're interested in. And also I'm here most of the time. I usually work 12-hour days. So I like to, because I have a lot to do, but I'm also ex-military, so I like to get up early and work a lot. So That's just how I'm geared. And I'm happy to help you where I can.
Yes, go ahead.
One of the things that you and I had discussed in the context of Greg coming is maybe having Greg talk a little bit about the relationship between the district and AECom.
So you have a
Yeah,
question
if
in that
you'd like
regard?
to elaborate, yeah, because I think how you fit in, I think the question mark is whether, how do you anticipate fitting in would be a good one, yes.
So in relation to AECom, so AECom is hired as the program manager or PMO, Project Program Management Organization for, or Program Management Office, excuse me, for the district. So they essentially act as an agent of the district in relation to the bond. So they oversee the construction management firms that are on the individual campuses. They also help us, so they can help with staff meetings, because we don't have the staff to be in every single meeting across the district for all the colleges and so forth. They help us with contractors, they help us with bid notifications, et cetera, all the things that go around the bond. That's what they're hired to do as part of their contract. We help give direction to AECom so they can make sure they stay in compliance. Same thing that you're dealing with Prop 39 and so forth. And if they have compliance questions or so forth, they come see us. And then, or I'll reach out to legal counsel if we have something that's burning. Usually it's pretty routine or something we've dealt with in the past, unless there's been legislative changes. So we can help them gear them in the right direction.
Great, super, thank you.
All right. Nice to meet everyone.
Yeah.
I'll sit on your sideline unless you need something.
Thanks, Greg.
On to item 6 is the annual meeting discussion and approval.
I move to approve the annual report with the following amendment. Peralta program might be in compliance with the,
And
Is there-
page
is there-
what page are we on?
are we,
No, the page on the agenda.
annual report discussion?
No, just on the agenda itself. Where are you?
Agenda item number 6.
I'm sorry, on the report itself. What page are you on? So I just want to see the existing
Okay.
language.
So, do we have to, have a motion to, approve the annual report?
Well, I think we're having we can have
Discussion.
a presentation first and then take a motion and do amendments.
Okay,
I think it might, just if we're gonna be making extensive changes, it might be a nice idea to get a feel for them ahead of time possibly.
well, I move to amend the annual report following
Okay,
amendment.
right. Do we have a second?
I'll second
Okay, we have a motion to amend and a second. We're gonna need to,
Okay.
we'll,
So I'll state my amendment.
yes, okay.
Okay, so Peralta bond program might be in compliance with the very narrowest of legal requirements, but is in conflict with the intention of the legislature. The first sentence of the school bond related education code requires that the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee be independent. The Peralta Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, BMOC, is not independent. The word independent is completely missing from Peralta enabling legislation, the district imposed bylaws, or any Peralta document relevant to the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. During this past fiscal year, the very mention of the word independent inspired the district to attack the committee with lawyers and to whip up controversy wherever it could be found. For the first time since the Bond Oversight Committee was retroactively established in September of 2019 by the Board of Trustees, this BMOC was chaired by an independent-minded committee member. In September of 2023, the newly elected chairperson, Marcus Crawley, stated that he intended that the committee should be independent in accordance with the legislature's intent. The district administration and the district's allies on the BMOC immediately went into attack mode and never relented for an entire year until the next chairperson was elected in July 2024. The troubles began at the July 2023 election of the chairperson. Complicated new Brown Act requirements for public meetings place certain new restrictions on remote video attendance. The chairperson at the July 2023 meeting failed her duty to conduct the meeting in accordance with the Brown Act. The Peralta District had the duty to provide legal guidance to avoid Brown Act violations. The district lawyer was AWL, absent without leave. This BMOC does not have its own legal counsel to advise it of changes in legislation that require changes to the BMOC operations. In the July 2023 meeting, 2 of the committee members voted for the new chairperson without both audio and video active at all times. A few days later, after the July election, committee member Jeff Canberra, who is a lawyer and familiar with the Brown Act requirements, commenced a challenge to the election, which he had not commented on while in attendance at the meeting. He emailed a request that an action item vote for the chairperson be performed again to correct any remote attendance violation. At the revote in September of 2023 meeting, Marcus Peralta was again elected chairperson. After the vote, Mr. Canberra acknowledged that the Brown Act issues had been resolved. In accordance with the July 2023 election pledge, Marcus Crawley appointed a subcommittee to draft an independent set of bylaws that the BMOC would consider adopting. The BMOC bylaws subcommittee voted 2-1 to approve the California Association of Bond Oversight Committees, KBOC, model set of bylaws to be discussed and voted on at a regular scheduled meeting on November the 8th, 2023. The Peralta Vice Chancellor canceled the November the 8th, 2023 BMOC meeting without consulting the chair when the lack of a quorum problem was possible. Instead of a November BMOC meeting, the Peralta Chancellor authorized the law firm of Garcia, Hernandez, and Schwani, GHS, to send a letter of concern on the same day, November the 8th, about the BMOC violations. This GHS letter alleged the following violations. Number 1, committee member Jeff Canberra complained to the chancellor that the BMOC July meeting Brown Act remote attendance problem with committee member, which committee member Jeff Canberra acknowledged had already been resolved in September. A second GHS complaint was that committee member Jeff Canberra complained to the chancellor about a future violation of the district imposed bylaws if the BMOC were actually to vote and adopt an independent set of bylaws without approval of the district board of trustees. The California enabling legislation emphasizes the importance of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee being independent. A CBOC that cannot enact its own bylaws without the approval of a district governing board can hardly be described as independent. There are CBOCs that have total control of their own bylaws, including Los Angeles Unified School District, the largest in the state, and Fremont Unified School District. A third GHS complaint was that former chairperson Andrea Dawson complained to the chancellor that Marcus Crawley identified himself as the chair of the Peralta BMOC. When he spoke at the August 2023 KBOC meeting without reporting it back to the committee. It is not understood why this would be a matter of concern. It is exceedingly common for individuals that hold government positions to identify themselves. The 2 committee members, Jeff Canberra and Andrea Dawson have unique relationships with the district. They can complain about Marcus Crawley to the Chancellor Jackson or Chancellor Gilkerson, and the district accommodates by authorizing the district lawyers to attack the BMOC leadership and disrupt BMOC meetings. The November the 8th, 2023 GHS letter listed these problems as violations and threatened that legal counsel, Mr. John Palmer, will be assigned to attend the BMOC meetings until such time as the chancellor determines that the committee is back on track. It would be difficult to find any clearer case of deliberate and intentional act by the district to disrupt the ability of the BMOC to perform its statutory function. The proposed KBOC model set of bylaws was rejected at the December BMOC meeting by a vote of 3-1. The next meeting, the BMOC meeting in January 2024, the agenda question was, is the BMOC independent in fact? Well, this was presented to the committee for discussion and vote. The agenda question was never resolved because the committee members, Andrea Dawson and Jeff Canberra, quickly departed from the meeting room, leaving the remaining committee without a quorum to vote. The next BMOC meeting was March 2024.
Excuse me.
There was an agenda item to,
All right, yes, he has the floor.
I have the floor. Thank you. The next BMOC meeting in March 2024, schedule an agenda item to merely discuss the bylaws. During the bylaws discussion, district lawyer John Palmer interrupted the discussion to advise that the committee should first resolve the other Brown Act problem. Some of the committee members screamed, "What other Brown Act problem?" Mr. Palmer explained that Jeff Canberra had a second Brown Act problem with the BMOC. He explained that the Brown Act Section 54-960.2 provides that a pledge to cure a cease and desist challenge. He said he would send a pledge to Chair Marcus Crawley to sign on behalf of the BMOC for a vote not to repeat the challenge past action. At the March meeting, Mr. Palmer insinuated that this cease and desist challenge and pledge was following the Brown Act Section 54-960.2 procedure. Mr. Palmer's letter threatened Chair Crawley and committee members with civil and criminal penalties. Once again, the chairperson Marcus Peralta requested Peralta to provide the BMOC with independent legal advice about these criminal penalties. The district ignored the request. Many months later, at the July 2024 BMOC meeting, Mr. Palmer stated that there never has been a cease and desist challenge. He said it was only a suggestion. If the BMOC had received independent legal advice when requested, the independent lawyer would have explained that Mr. Palmer and Mr. Canberra's cease and desist challenge were mere suggestions and could be safely ignored. Instead,
I guess the agenda item is amendments to the.
Current to this.
to the annual
I'm
report,
not-
compliance report.
I'm not hearing
So,
any.
Instead,
I'm not
these
hearing
two
any
lawyers
suggestion
kept
that-
the BMOC needlessly embroiled in controversy many months. And I'm almost done.
Okay.
During the last 3 months, April, May, and June, the cease and desist challenge eclipsed any possibility of a discussion about independence. First, Mr. Palmer promised to send a revised pledge, which he failed to do. Then committee member Jeff Canberra announced a substitute pledge for Mr. Palmer's pledge. Finally, committee member Jeff Canberra announced a revised substitute pledge at the last minute for the July 2024 meeting. The only accomplishments of the BMOC during these last 3 months was to start to work on the annual report. We congratulate the Chancellor and her allies for their fine work to prevent the Peralta BMOC from being able to perform its statutory oversight responsibility. That is my amendment to the annual report.
Okay, I see you have copies?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I think we're ready
Is that
to,
conference going on during our meeting?
Who has
Not a
the
conference
format?
going on.
hang on,
I'm sorry, I interject, it's ridiculous. What does most of any of that have to do with the budget?
It has to do with the annual report
Yeah,
compliance statement.
and your report, yeah, okay.
And
I
that
understand
is
okay,
the
I
most
understand
important
that.
aspect of the
But
entire
what have,
report.
so I'm asking you, what does that have to do with the spending that has gone on in the district? Can you sum that up without going through a whole
It
novel?
has nothing to do with the
Look at the wrong
spending.
year, he's talking about the wrong year. This is- okay.
we have, I'd like to be done with this quickly. We have an amendment that has been proposed.
I vote no.
We need a motion to accept. Right, you are making the motion? Do we?
I made a motion and it was seconded.
Okay, then.
So now there would be,
Now, can we have a roll call vote, please? As to whether to accept this amendment?
Sure. Jeff Canberra,
No.
Terrell Gamble. Marcus Crawley,
yes.
Andrea Dawson,
No,
Benjamin Scott is not here, Jill Broadhurst.
Yes.
Cole Sexton,
No,
Okay,
motion
so
fails.
the amendment is not accepted.
So here's a copy of the amendment for the minutes.
Okay, now, are there?
With that,
Digital copy.
I can send you one, yes.
Now, moving on, are there any other amendments to the annual report?
Four to two.
I did,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Andrea,
so, first I'd like to say that, the amendments that I would like to make are to the,
Point of order here.
yes,
So that item was agendized and it's had a vote. I think
We moved on.
we move on
We
to the
move on.
next item.
no,
Yes.
no, you have to have discussion first. Was not understood
Well,
then, no,
I-
we voted on his amendment.
we voted on an amendment.
Amendment.
We did not vote on the actual item.
Item. He voted on amendment to the report.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I
So
stand
now
correct.
we're out now. Andrea, you have the floor for your amendment.
Okay, so I'm proposing amendments by page to the report that Cole Sexton worked on. Put together the format and put together the first, iterations of edits to this. And, we are talking about fiscal year 22-23. And that fiscal year was from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. So there is no actions reflected that happened after that in this report, because our charge is to find the district either in compliance based on the information that we got from the auditors and what we got from meetings between 2022 and June 30th, 2023. And the auditor's report that came to us earlier this year in March that found the district in compliance. Through that year, we got reports from the program management firm. And I made a visit to a groundbreaking. We received new members. So what I'd like to do is I actually took the old report. I notified Marcus that I'd like to talk about having a meeting about making some amendments. And I didn't hear back, but Cole Sexton acknowledged me twice and understood that I would be bringing some amendments to this report. Because my goal is to get the report done and voted on this evening as an action item. So I was glad to see that it was an action item on this agenda. So I have a copy of what I call my cut and paste. It's also, I think, I sent to Jeff to send to Mark, and I believe it could actually go up on the screen, and you can see what I've changed on Cole's report. So if we could go page by page, it'd be easier to see it up on the
Yeah,
screen
but you
too.
can get it up on the screen.
Yeah. And if staff,
No, I didn't.
I just did because he said it didn't go through or so. Anyway, so I sent it about an hour ago when Jeff said it. He didn't understand it. You find it? I sent it to you, Cole, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Cole could forward it.
I got
if
it.
you can't
I got
find
it.
it.
Okay, you've got it.
Yeah, I sent it to Marcus and Cole also, okay? So I'll just start on that while you're getting it up. So the cover sheet does not change.
If you could wait just a second, if it's just gonna take a second to get up. I think it'd be easier to follow if it was up on
Yeah,
the screen.
perfect.
There we go.
Okay,
All right.
so this is the one, this is my edits, okay? And if you follow along what Mark Johnson gave out, the original one, Cole's original one that I worked from, okay? And Cole and I discussed this at least once about like how I would move this stuff around and then hope for help to actually format it properly after we get through this. Okay. So the cover sheet doesn't change. The second sheet is a picture of something happening in construction at all 4 campuses with a little write-up underneath it. And this, once again, is a cut and paste right off of what Cole Sexton did. And I just took it and moved it around and moved it onto one page and took the links out. Because I don't, even though it's nice to, for a deeper dive, folks that want to go into a deeper dive on what's actually happening at Peralta can go onto the Build Peralta website and find all this information. And they can search around on our website. So you see that I've said it's an example only and it needs formatting. So, you know, I'm open to, or we can have a conversation what should be or would be formatted on this. The next sheet, which is the content guide, I changed one word and it's activities and left all the rest of the bullet points the same. The next sheet, moving on, is exactly what was submitted by Cole Sexton before. This sheet did not change at all, okay? The membership sheet only changed in that I corrected dates of membership terms and I went by alphabet with the exception of chairs and vice chairs. And I made it the current BOC membership as of today, but the BOC membership for 22-23 is on the right-hand side. And we could flip those around and make the 22-23 more present if that would please people. I just took, once again, pretty much the boilerplate and made a few tweaks to it, okay? The next sheet, I put key activities and concerns. And these are current to the year 2022-2023. So the first item, I expanded a little bit about the the website for Peralta BMOC was relaunched and with layout improvement and user-friendly website link that takes you directly to the committee's site, okay? And then I suggest adding the BMOC link there. Sorry, the highlights didn't come out when I recopied this at home, apologize, on the handouts I gave to people. So anyway, then I added the, the things that happened as far as committee, we added committee membership vacancy status as a standing committee item. Dr. Stacy Thompson resigned, Joe Broadhurst became a member. We received and reviewed, this is an important add here, the Peralta Bond Measures Independent Auditors Financial Performance Audit for fiscal year July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. Then I put what essentially was a site visit that I attended as a kickoff at Merritt College, and all were invited, but I'm the one that attended. So, and then I put committee concerns, which really, Cole, you already had them listed here. I just put a few more words onto our issue on not consistently having a quorum, which because of not enough people showing up in person, okay? That's the change I made there. So the next page, I added what I still need actually from the district, which I'm quite sure I could probably get it, is this program cost update should technically, instead of being through August 21st, I think it said 2023, it should be through June 30th. Okay. It should be the end of the fiscal year. Okay. And then I added what's an important paragraph I feel that the public should know, and it certainly affects the bond program. And that is that the bond sale that happened in that year. And so in November 2022, this was reported to us too as a committee. 151 million of general obligation GO bonds were sold. 120 million of GO money bonds sold are for the funding of the voter approved projects at the Peralta CCD's 4 campuses. 31 million of the refunding of bonds was to refinance bonds issued in 2012. At the time of the sale, Fitch and S&P Global both rated Peralta CCD outlook as stable. That should be as stable instead of at. This change represented the first positive outlook in debt issuance rating since 2013. So that means they're being able to sell their money and less interest, more good use for the taxpayer, right? So I think that's an important statement. So the next page is the administration update, and that page didn't change at all. And then the last page, I added a paragraph about the financial and performance audit results because, and you can all read it yourselves, but it basically, on March 13th, meeting of our committee, I should just read it. On March 13th, 2024, the meeting of the Peralta BMOC of the 2022-3 fiscal year financial performance audits on Measure A and Measure G bond were presented to the committee by Ben Levitt of CWDL. They are the independent outside auditor for the Peralta bond measure programs. CWDL found that in all significant respects, Peralta Community College District expended Measures A and G general obligation bond funds for the year ending, typo, June 30, 2023, and only for the purpose of specific projects developed by the district's governing board and approved by the voters in accordance with the requirements of the Proposition 39 as specified by Section 1B3C of Article X 123A of the California Constitution. Okay, so I added that because this is what the end of the report said, both on the financial and performance of it, okay? So then the statement of compliance I did not change. And I suggest that we add the link to the full audit of CWDL's audit at the bottom here. So those are the edits that I would like to make, propose these amendments to make to the report, because we have basically one charge, and that is to review the information that's given to us and ask the questions and ask for the information that represents where the bond dollars spent on projects that are in the voter approved language. And that one of the big premises of this is that an outside independent auditor does a deeper dive and they find discretions or not. And they did not. They found that the district had a very clean audit in both their performance and financial audits. And so that was reported to us. And that evening on March 13th, we all asked them some questions and I was satisfied. I would just say that. I was satisfied. And they have a responsibility to the district and Citizens Bond Oversight Committee to do that audit. So that is a responsibility of the statute. So this is my proposal as amendments.
I just want to provide a point of clarification on the end date of the fiscal year. So the district is allowed 6.5 weeks to close the previous fiscal year's books. That fiscal year, we closed the books on August 18th. So the data that you received on August 21st was actually for the previous fiscal year. We have 6 weeks to make adjustments to the end of the fiscal year at the past June 30th close. That's what we call our 998 period or a cleanup period for us for the fiscal year. That's normal in the standard course of business according to the Budget and Accounting Manual of the state of California. So the 21st date that you received was the most accurate reflection of the previous fiscal year. I just want to bring it here.
That's this table that you're talking about.
Yeah, and we could make a statement to that if we
Yeah,
need
that's,
to.
I just
You
want to
know,
make sure y'all understood that that is the accurate date.
Yeah.
So even though the date is August, it reflects.
The date just reflects the date the report was pulled because it's a live action table based on, we can't go on arrears in dating. We can only pull the data up. So the date closed on the Friday, so we pulled it the following Monday.
Okay, so but for the taxpayer that,
Sure.
like gets into the minutia but doesn't really understand it yet. we
Understood.
need
I just
make
want to
a
provide that
statement.
clarification for the
Yeah.
committee.
That sounds good. All right.
Okay.
So I would propose we make that amendment then and make a statement to that effect.
Marcus.
I have a comment about what Andrea said. At the risk of irritating my fellow members, I think that Andrea is misguided on what the annual report is supposed to do. I think the annual report is supposed to be as fresh and as current as possible. Just like we take pictures and show the public the progress. We don't present them pictures of 2 years ago. We show them pictures that are most current so they can see what's happening. I think we should be reporting to the public what is our most current information, like who are members of the committee on the during the last year, not who are members of the committee 2 years ago. So one of the things that happened during the last fiscal year was that we received the most recent financial and performance audits. We received them. We interviewed the CPA about them. We understood them. The CPA gave us the most current and said most current versions and said it looks clean. So good. So we should be reporting to the public that the most current information that we have looks good. We should not be and so if we have more current information, our annual report should be as current as possible. So therefore, our annual report should be for our fiscal year, including when those annual audits were presented to us. So that makes it current. We don't have, we don't have to report when some vice chancellor resigned 2 years ago. So let's keep in mind that the purpose of the annual report is to let the public know whether, to what degree the bond program is doing well, as close to present time as we can. Not skip a year and report what was happening 2 years ago when we have a lot of current information. Just like I said, like we don't put stale construction projects on it. We say, oh, during this last year, they started Laney College. Oh, they had a groundbreaking last November. We don't have 2 years ago in November, they had a groundbreaking. We say what happened last year, and that's what we should be reporting to the public. What happened during our last year. And one of the things that happened during the last year is that we received the annual audit reports.
That's what this is about. That's
Yes,
what I'm talking about.
And so we are not giving a report for Peralta's fiscal year of 2023. We are giving a report, we should be giving a report from the BMOC from 2023 to 2024. And one of the events in 2023-24 was receiving the annual audits for the fiscal year of 2022-23. So
Marcus,
let's make it current.
point of clarification, the past reports actually did have past and present, but when we started down on this program, and what you presented was the Fremont model, this flip page Fremont model. Cole, to his credit, went in and used that model. And so this is basically past with a little bit of present, because I feel like it would be stale. Really, we have one charge. It's to find them in compliance or not. That's our one charge for 2022 to 2023, because we don't have, let me finish, because we do not have the audits yet to review for 2023 to 2024. We don't have that. So let me finish. So I just cut and pasted these pictures. Now I
was talking and I allowed her to talk. And all I'm asking is, before she makes 12 points, just make one point, and let's discuss it. Then she can make another point. We can discuss that, because we're not going to get anywhere if she makes a half a dozen points. I'm not going to remember it. I don't think any of you will. So let's just do 1 point at a time.
So I'd like to have you take the lead on this, because you had suggested amendments that were not in there, and if you could take the lead and bring to it, and we'll discuss them one at a time.
Okay, so regarding Cole using the model for Fremont Unified School District, great, that's a model. And just because they say in their model that is 2022 to 2023, doesn't mean we've got to say it's 2022 to 2023.
No.
We're going to amend their model to suit our needs.
So what are the suggestions you would like to have added? If you could go through each one.
Okay, so in other words, this is we are giving our annual report for our fiscal year 2023 through 2024, which includes the annual financial and performance audits for 2022 to 2023. So when the public reads this, it doesn't look like it's 2 years old. It looks like it's current.
Okay, that's point one. And does anyone?
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
think we're, okay, so he got to read his 10 pages and make that as an amendment and a vote. And what I'd like to do is recognizing that there are a few things that could change in here, including, the big one really is about the finances on the explaining the date. I'd like to propose that we vote on this report as it is, clean, provided it's cleaned up, that we vote either to accept this or amend it some more. Just
There-
like we did on his amendment to this. This is my amendment to the report. And
Okay.
I'm proposing that we vote on it.
Well,
Not likely to vote positive on anything that I received today. Right. My suggestion would be is that we take these comments and add them to the draft of the next meeting, right, where we can review it all at the same time, right, as opposed to trying to go through piece by piece here, word by word and, approve and not approve, let's take the comments, add them to the drafts and include them in the next meeting.
Jill,
Yeah, and I'd be curious how, because I understand what Marcus is saying in terms of trying to find one document that relates to present, because if somebody was truly curious, they could probably go through all the meeting minutes and see what is happening currently through our meetings, like, what's going on, but there should be maybe, I don't know if it's a one pager that's added to these things, because then we're always in arrears, right? If we're doing this, we're not meeting necessarily what he's requesting, and I don't know if that's standard or we can change it or what, but for the purpose of kind of having something that's meeting the needs of the annual requisite, but then also having something that's present day, maybe it is a page that is added on to this, that is a snapshot of what's currently happening in our meetings and what has happened so far, that's separate from what we are required to do for that fiscal year, previous year.
Sure.
yes,
Oh. Mr. Nelson, could you very succinctly put what you said, at the end of your statement about the pulling the reports?
About the financial
Yes.
data? Sure.
Just so that everyone here can fully grasp and understand how go into a reporting system, you can pull data. You're pulling data from, again, arrears, like you said, so you're not going to be getting data that is like from the future. So can you very just succinctly put that, like,
Yeah,
when you
so-
pull a report?
Sure. So in our enterprise resource system, we use PeopleSoft here, but our financial data system is a live system. So as you put data in, you can only pull a report that day for what's happened up to that point in time.
Yes,
So when the system closes for prior fiscal year, vis-a-vis June 30th, we receive 6 weeks to finish out the fiscal year, 12 months worth of data, make sure it's all clean.
Right.
Right? So we get that 6 weeks. That ended on August 18th of that year, of 2023, for that prior fiscal year that you received the audit for.
yes,
So when we pulled the report that following Monday, the next business day of the district was August 21st, which represented the prior fiscal years, the full 12 months of data locked and done for the full year. So we pull a live data snapshot based on the August 21st for the prior fiscal year. And I'm happy to give the committee information as a footnote to that graph, et cetera, as needed, based on the requirements of the chair.
thank you, Vice Chancellor, I appreciate you saying, and one job to finish up, and just, pulling that report. So, especially for those of us here on this board that want to know what's going on at the school districts, I highly suggest, along with, Terrell's point, I would, when we take all of this and, maybe come back next month and review it. Go to the campuses, go visit the campuses, see what's going on, go to the events, take pictures, mix, mingle, talk, do whatever you have to see what's actively going on these campuses, to see how the money's being spent, alongside the juxtaposition with the comparisons of the reports. That's all I have to say.
Just gonna say, just wait, a clarification that the report, the issue date of the report is in August, but it covers the period.
It covers the period from July 1 through June
Yeah,
30.
so the issue date sometimes can be confused.
The issue date is just the date we actually pulled the
That
date.
we actually do it, right, okay, but I just want to recognize our legal counsel.
I just maybe make a suggestion, which is that you don't need to only have an annual report. And so one approach that you can take is to do a quarterly review of the expenditures in connection with Mr. Sexton's suggestion that you do some site visits and see what's going on, and then quarterly provide an update as to your activities and say, you know, we were at College of Alameda, we saw the following projects, we got a report from AECom or the project manager that showed what they had spent. And then, you know, that way you can provide some information as to what's happening on a relatively timely basis. And then when you're you get your audit report, you can offer a conclusion to the public about whether the bond proceeds were properly spent. That also relies on the auditor's report, but you have been providing regular timely updates to the community in the interim. And so that might both satisfy the desire to see what's going on in real time, provide more timely updates for the community, but still have an annual report that incorporates the auditors.
Right, not to get ahead of ourselves, but in the work plan, there is actually some site visits planned, and that report could tie into site visits, so we can get this one done. Jill?
I was just gonna say, that this, whatever, suggestion I had made about like an add-on that's more real time, it didn't necessarily have to be numbers. It could be something else related to the district that is, because I see us as like, this is like the eyes and ears of the compliance factor, and so it could
Right.
involve other things. So if the numbers aren't ready, we can't necessarily speak to that in a real-time fashion because it hasn't been released. But if there's activities or other things that are affected with our committee work or something like that, that would be the opportunity to attach that to this document.
So, Marcus?
Did I interrupt you?
No.
Okay. So, as Mr. Palmer stated, giving occasional reports, intermediate reports about what's going on is important. And the most important report is the annual report about what's going on presently, not what's was going on several years ago, not old pictures, current pictures. And when we have a job site and we want to report about the job site, we're reporting what happened last month. But one of the things that I want to point out is that our oversight committee is not tasked with reporting to the public everything that's going on. Our task is to find and make sure that the bond program is on the right track. Now, maybe it's always going to be on the right track, and that is a wonderful situation. And in that case, certainly the annual compliance report says all the funds look like they're being spent properly. So that is good. But that's not the only thing that the legislature told us to do. It says to report to the public, and often, and I think it's our bylaws included, the legislature says consisting of these things, but not limited to these things. And I think our bylaws say more or less, these are the things that you're supposed to do, implying it's limited to us reporting what's going on and what the annual audits say. No, we should be reporting to the public all aspects of whether the district is in compliance. Our annual report should be saying that they did not have a student representative for 3 years. And things like that. That's all part of the compliance with the intention of the legislature. So let's not limit it to just repeating on what the final statement of the annual audits.
So I'm gonna make a suggestion because we've had a lot of discussion, and so Terrell, I'm gonna pick up on what you said, and I think this should go back to the subcommittee for hashing it all out and come back with a final version for us to look at and discuss.
Okay, we shall do that.
That works, so in essence, we're tabling the action item for the annual report, and we'll bring it back up again at the next meeting, okay?
Okay.
Excellent. All right, moving on to item number 7 then, that's gonna be the meeting schedule and topics. So this is a single page. And so you guys kind of learned the word, and would somebody like to give us a little background?
Probably. You did.
Okay.
You did more here.
Yeah, so, so it hasn't changed a lot from the last time I presented it, but it's like a rolling fiscal year plan. And so, and this would be our first trial on this, obviously, how it works, and if we basically keep to the plan or we decide to change it, I think it would be up to go to the committee that if we're gonna add additional meeting, or we're going to add additional site visits, or, the staff may say, you may want to come to this presentation, it would be a special presentation, or new staff might bring us a special presentation about the program. And so I think just going through the months, there's enough flexibility in it that you can cover looking at the projects and the program and the expenditures for each of the 4 sites. You can have special presentations and get enough information without having a July meeting and a December and January meeting. Because the annual report is really what we do, typically start in the spring, after the winter, right? And so if we typically get the presentation from the outside auditor on the first week in April, we get the audit before that. It's the regulation, for anyone that's new, says that you get the audit at the same time that it's transmitted and submitted to the district as a final audit. So last year, we actually got the audit given to us, sent to us in January, but it was presented at the March 13th meeting, which is what I have in this report that I said earlier. So this is what this follows here, but I think coming to the beginning of it, in the start, August, would be the month that you would elect officers, because that would be your first meeting. And then I think it would be important to have a presentation of the BMOC governance documents. And to me, that is the board policy, that's the constitutional statutes, that's the bylaws. The bylaws do speak to Robert's Rules of Order and the Brown Act and the Code of Conduct. And if there's some other governance document that should be included in that, then that would be subject to it being presented to us as a packet and have some discussion on it in August. because next year, 3 of us will be terming out and you will end up with 3 new, you're gonna end up with 3 new people. So I think that's why I put that in August. Okay, and then August of this year, and that's why this bullet point was there, I was in hopes that we might have adopted the annual report in August. Truthfully, it should be adopted in June, where the old sitting committee is, I feel like, because that is before people term out. So then we wouldn't have a case of a new member that has to catch up to speed to read the performance audits, go through all the information and come back and say, yeah, I feel it's okay too, you know? So, but it's a work plan, and we could make those adjustments now and, consider adoption of this. And then if we need to change it and re-vote in September or October, we could do that, but at least this would be a guideline for the year. Any thoughts or comments on it?
Any comments?
Yes, I've got comments. Did you have comments?
Oh, just my initial, point to Andrea and Jeff was just, I thought it should be presented to the group and then you guys look it all over and decide, and then we vote later, at the next meeting or whatever, to implement it, just so that you could digest them.
Yes, I have comments.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. And I don't know why Andrea seems blind to not having a meeting in July. The bylaws state that we should have a meeting in July and elect the chairperson. So she has been trying to get rid of the July meeting for years. And now she is willing to actually have a August meeting. Now, we've never run out of things to discuss. So to be eliminating meetings when we rarely run out of things to deal with, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be scheduling a meeting every month until we finally get up to present time and say, okay, you know, we really have nothing more to say. And one of the things that I want to say about the scheduling is that it's not our job to have an update on construction progress. And that is most of what Andrea has. It's good for the Bill Peralta website, but we're supposed to be looking at accountability and expenditures, and just to have charts like they've done in the past, where the chart has long bar graphs and hundreds of numbers. That doesn't tell us anything. All they say is, okay, the Berkeley building started last July, and it's going to be presented to the state architect next October, and that we don't care about that. That's not our job to understand all the progress steps. Our job is to understand whether or if the building is being built at all, or we should be looking at contractors. Or what is the contract procedure? So if there are contracts being let that are no bid contracts, we should be looking at that. We've never got around to asking those kind of questions, and those are the kind of questions we should be doing that are accountability related.
Okay, so Marcus, do you have some of these questions that you'd like to have us ask? It would be nice to get those.
I have brought up those kind of questions in the past, and when my mind gets working, I can certainly come up with plenty of questions like that. But we have not had a breathing spell. Every meeting that we've had for the last year has been at least 2 hours.
Okay, but I'm asking is if we could get those topics that you would like the committee to address. I would like to have them.
Well, I will think them up one at a time. I'm not going to think them up a dozen so that only one gets handled and the rest get abandoned.
Well, I can assure you they wouldn't be abandoned. We all look at them, but that's besides what.
You're talking about adding them to the work plan. That's what you're talking about. Whatever, so
They
you
could
have
be added
additions.
to this work plan.
Okay,
And
so,
get-
so,
okay,
so for right now, on this work plan, I would eliminate most of these, construction updates. We don't need them. We should be talking about something else.
Okay, so that's fine. So that's one comment on the work plan. Are there other comments?
Well, just a point of clarification, that the bylaws don't say that we elect officers in July. It says at the first meeting that we convene of the committee of the fiscal year. So it could be August. So that's a
The
point
bylaws
of clarification.
also state that we don't, we have to meet 12 months. out.
No, it doesn't. Some districts meet 4 only, 4 times a year.
I would say it's a lot of this is meeting work, and I think, based on Andrea's, schedule, I think it's easily 2 meetings, right? I could even take away 3, right? That's just my opinion.
Okay, so understanding that this work plan, first of all, isn't carved in stone, that there's gonna be some flexibility in this. So as I was reading this, I thought one of the things that might build in some flexibility is that the last bullet point where it says, you know, that the work schedule plan to be revisited, subject to change by a majority of the committee. Instead of an and, maybe put an or, so that the committee chair wouldn't have to have a meeting to turn around and vote to have another meeting if something actually did come up. So I think the only change that I would make to this would be change and to or. And move forward with it. Yes, Marcus?
Question I have about this is what problem is it trying to solve? You've not had a problem about what to talk about.
I think-
So it looks to me like Andrea is trying to control the future of our meetings.
Thank you for that comment.
Okay.
Yes.
It's been my limited experience attending these meetings. Sometimes the meetings have difficulty focusing in on the subject of the committee's charge, whether the bond proceeds were spent in accordance with the bond project list. It's required by Prop 39. And sometimes I found on boards that reducing the number of meetings or the amount of time that committees meet is a way of helping to focus the board or the committee on its charge. And so perversely, sometimes having fewer meetings makes a committee or a board more efficient and effective than having more meetings that take more time.
Okay. Well, so we do have this before us. It is an action item. If somebody would like to make a motion, we could entertain it now.
So is your first motion though is to make the amendment of changing that to or?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I think we needed I was gonna give you a friendly, it would be a friendly amendment
So I
when we get
accept
to
that.
that.
Okay, I accept that amendment.
Well, I think we need a motion first.
Oh,
I was discussing in a general
I could
term.
just go back to the committee and come back as an or, right?
I think that's it's a simple enough change if if 4 of us agree.
But to the point of, what Mr. Gamble had said earlier, this is, I mean, I don't know if you guys had time to look at it and digest it. Is it something worth that everybody reviews it and then we come back to the comments at the next meeting? And those suggestions in the meantime, if Marcus has something that either he's sending to you or he's sending to Andrea, as the kind of chair of this subcommittee, of this side committee, I don't know, but.
Yeah, well, yeah, this was, if I understand, this was a recommendation from the committee, right? You guys put this together.
What she's saying is she was recommending it as an information item, right? You moved it to an action item. She wanted it as an information item as a member of the committee for us to discuss and then have the committee sharpen their pencil and bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay, so I thought the last minute, and I'm fine with doing that. I thought this was going to be moved as an action item because it was on the agenda last month.
No,
Yeah.
that was a statement she made before the.
Okay,
well, so I wanted it on as an action item just because this is the 3rd time we've discussed this. And so I feel like there's flexibility in it. If we can revisit it at a future meeting and say, you know what, We have too many meetings
We
here.
we do, we need to
You know.
truncate some of those meetings, because,
So-
you know.
But
some of
truth be
those-
told, we also have two new members too that just came into the mix, so adding them to potentially the feedback, I don't know.
I'm not liable to come to 9 meetings a year, I can tell you that right now.
I'm just talking about for the purpose.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you could add information and Mark can send it out, right? I can certainly read.
Yeah.
Educated in not the best schools in California. I once was a student here, right? I mean, meeting just to meet, right?
Yeah,
It is unnecessary. We should have very impactful meetings with robust information. Where we do what our stated task is based on Article 39 of the statute. And then also, right, if there are some nice to haves, right, well, then that's a current allocation of what's going on with the bond proceeds, or then that's great as well, right? But let's not expand our charge beyond, or create new charges.
If that we don't have, yeah, and keep in mind the fact that like the February meeting has 2 items on it, that does not mean those are the only 2 items that we can talk about, right? And we can easily add this as a flexible document.
As the chair, right? I mean,
Yeah.
solely it's up to you to decide whether or not we have meetings or not. So you can truncate 2 meetings into one if 2 action items don't require all of us to drive here and miss dinner with our families.
exactly.
Yes, which is why I suggested the or rather than the
But
and.
So however, I accept that amendment, or I don't know, if Jill and I both have to accept it, but I think more importantly, we have to vote on this as an action item and have it as a starting place, and with the understanding of the or, if we agree that the or, that gives flexibility in it, that we could get down to 7 meetings a year.
Okay, well, it is an action item. I am happy to entertain a motion if someone wants to make it.
I'm looking to pull it as an action item.
Or table.
Actually, we just
Table it.
table it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think no, we don't need necessarily, we can table it without having a vote, right? Or do we have to have a vote? Did we table
Just
it?
parliamentary inquiry, you have, per Robert's rule of order, if you try to table something, it is a motion.
It
You
is
have
a
to have
motion.
second,
All right.
you have to have a vote to table.
Okay, so we have a motion to table this till next month, or to the next meeting. not
Just
necessarily-
table it in general,
I
so you have to
second
have a motion to take it off the table at the next meeting.
Right,
So you have to have a motion and a second and a vote.
and we have a second from Marcus.
Okay.
All those in
And that was
favor?
Terrell making the motion.
Yeah, Terrell made the motion. And all those in favor? Aye. We have no opposition, no abstentions.
I'll send you the committee an email based on what I think, how we can.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and just to confirm who's on the committee now,
Just Andrew.
the 2 of you, okay. And then we can get a report and hopefully come back next meeting with the recommendation.
Point of order for item 6 of the agenda, the annual report discussion. There was not, it was like a unilateral decision to table. We didn't do a motion and second and
Correct.
vote. So I think
We need a motion and a second. then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then I have a motion.
I
Okay.
second.
Terrell and Jill.
Okay. Okay, so the motion is to table the annual report till the next meeting. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Wait,
No.
Oh.
So, and I was gonna say,
you're not abstaining?
I'm
or-
not abstaining.
Okay, no, it's unanimous.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
That
So-
hand just went up. I
Right,
wasn't
so no, but it's Paul, myself, and Marcus. And, anybody that has comments that they would like to have incorporated in this or questions.
If the information comes out early enough, I will comment back to the committee, right? And you guys can take that out.
It's, the thing is, we have to be
We're not
careful
bringing comments to the meeting.
To the subcommittee.
to the subcommittee, but we have to be careful how it's done, because then there would be 4 of us. So
Yep.
that's where it gets tricky, because then we're 4 of us talking.
But as long as it's one way only going in
Yeah.
and
we can't-
no discussion or I understand, agreement that 3 or 4 people know what other people.
Just so everybody understands, I'll refer to legal, but board members should defer to the chair for information and submit information. You don't want to get in the situation where you have a serial meeting through email, because that's a Brown Act violation. So if you have a subcommittee, it needs to be less than the quorum of the committee.
Right.
So it needs to be 3 people. If you have 4, that's a quorum of the board.
Right, I think the question is, can one of us, one way unilaterally send information to the committee?
Ideally, that would be the
No.
chair. That would usually be the chair. of the
I'll send
committee.
I'll send it to you.
All right.
Send it to you, Jeff.
There you go.
Alright.
There you go. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, we're on to item 8, new business. Hearing none, we'll move to item 9 and we'll move to adjourn the meeting.